Hello and welcome to Female Success Stories. My name is Anita Griesbach, and I'm here to share success stories of women from all around the globe to inspire and to encourage millions of women to write their own success story. Today, I have the pleasure to introduce to you Isvari Maranwe. Yes. So Isvari is all about doing good and helping people. She has so many passions, so many talents. Really she is an amazing person, and I so much look forward to introducing her to you. So very warm welcome to you, Isvari.
Thank you, Anita. I really appreciate it. It's a pleasure to be here. I love what you're doing, and I'm really excited to chat.
Thank you. How are you today?
I'm doing pretty well. It's kind of early my time to 8 a.m., but that's early for me. I'm a bit of a late riser usually. But otherwise doing well. Day's just starting.
Yeah, the more I get to interview women from all around the world, the more difficult it gets to find the time that we are approaching evening time.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much for waking up for me this early. This is an additional honor.
Yeah, of course. No, I totally hear you because we work at the Sentinel. We work with people all around the world, and very often we have meetings with like people in like 5 or 6 different time zones on one meeting, and it's absolutely impossible. So I totally feel you.
Yeah. So would you tell a bit about yourself, your background? You have such a rich experience, and you've done so many different things. And also, is there like a red line that connects the dots, or is it really you've tried out different things? I'm curious to find out.
Yeah. So I have a lot of different interests. And I think for a lot of my life, I tried to do things that I really enjoyed doing or was good at. And then was drawn away from it by the fact I felt like I wasn't making a huge impact on the world. And like I wanted to do that instead. And it sort of has all led me where I've ended up now, where I really prioritize purpose. And I think, and I encourage other people to, and a lot of our work is, helps other people find their purpose, because I think purpose driven work is really where people can feel happy, even if they have other interests and other talents. But if they're doing something they're really good at and they don't feel like it's purposeful, it's a lot easier to burn out. So I would say for me, with all of my different background interests, from music through physics, through writing, through my career now, being an attorney, I think all of it was kind of things I liked and was interested in. And I tried to find a way to connect it into doing good in the world and connect it into all the things that I found exciting. But if I didn't feel like I was impacting things, I left to change and do something where I felt like I could impact things more. The other thing is when I was younger, I was very young when I was when I was actually truly in other careers that seemed to me to be more distant from impacting the world. And I was just sort of trying to figure myself out and figure out what things I found fun. And I wasn't really thinking about my life in general. So part of it, I think, is just the general growing up process. But yeah.
Yeah, I hear you. Great. And did you have like a game changer in your life, or was this always part of yourself that you have this really strong passion to support other people?
Yeah, I've always had a very high empathy level since the time I was a kid, which can come with its own problems. Um, but I didn't necessarily think or know it would be my career. I always sort of wanted to be from a very young age and some sort of like impact oriented. I used to fantasize a lot about like if people would just listen to me, I could fix these world problems. So when I was like very, very young, my parents kept me very abreast of what was going on in the world. They used to make me read The Economist every week. So one of the things I find very unusual, actually, between my parents, who are immigrants from India, and a lot of the kids I grew up with and a lot of American culture in the United States, is I was not very sheltered with terms of what was happening in the world. I was very aware of what was happening. And when you're very young and you learn about things like war and death and genocide, as a kid, you're going to think that is horrible, because it is. And you're going to react, I think, the way everyone should react, which is that it is horrible and it needs to be stopped. And it made a very strong impact on me from a very young age. And so I was very driven to really do something about it. And so that has definitely been there since I was young. But I also was very interested in exploring a lot of different things and in just having a lot of fun and doing a lot of different areas. And one of the things that I talk about a lot, I don't think it really immediately impacted everything like a big event, but you know, I had some health struggles when I was in my teen years, and I think one of the things that I learned from just being near death a couple times is that I realized life is not like forever. And I think it's something that people should realize later in life. I don't encourage it. I don't think wisdom is something that children should have to have. I think it's really important for people to have their childhood and really important for people to have their 20s to just explore themselves. But I always felt like I had less time as a result. And so really tried to pack a lot into my life and do everything that I wanted to do at once. So
That's really great. A great mindset, because we all know that it's gonna end one day, but especially, yeah, I think for most of the time people live as if there was, well, as if we could live forever. But
yeah.
if you realize that your life will end one day, and it's probably sooner than you think, you make different decisions, you're more courageous, you dare to be more yourself.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
Life was too short for anything else. So yeah, I don't think that was really an event that spurred a change in what I was focused on, but it definitely impacts how I view life and how much I work at everything I do.
Mm. Yeah, yeah, sounds wonderful. Was there like maybe a project or something that you've worked on, or maybe a person that has really inspired you, or that showed you like, yes, um, this is where I am meant to be. I'm on track. This makes me keep going on.
Yeah. So, you know, it's not necessarily a project, but originally when Weaves Global got started at the beginning of the pandemic, it was very accidental. We didn't intend to start a nonprofit or anything. There was just a clear need for people who wanted somebody to lean on in terms of mental health support or people who needed a resume edit. I didn't think that it was going to be the most impactful thing ever. Like, I just thought it was a way for me to help people out for like the 2 weeks we were going to be in lockdown. Nobody thought it was going to last that long. I was just trying to help and give back, right? And I had no intention of it growing. And I would say I learned so much from the early days of Weaves Global, just in terms of how driven people are to form a community, how lost people are without a community, and how little community still exists today globally, how much people have a need for very simple things, right? Like a resume edit, mental health support, talking to somebody about their career, really having somebody who cares about them to shepherd them through their career, something very simple that I had taken for granted that a lot of
Yeah.
people really don't have. And so I think that really changed the way I looked at how I made impact and the areas in which I could go into. I had never thought about starting a nonprofit before then, not even once. I was not a big fan of nonprofits. I still think that many of them, unfortunately, are not really regulated that much, right? They just, Stanford is a nonprofit, and Kaiser Permanente, which is a big healthcare company and not, you know, not great at all, is a nonprofit, right? They're very for-profit nonprofit. So I knew about all this, and I didn't think that nonprofits were necessarily the way to change the world. But I do think movements are. And so I started to learn at Dweebs Global, like what it looks like, starting a movement, bringing people together, having people work on a common cause, keeping it running. And so a lot of the things we learned there then spurred the creation of the Sentinel, which I'm working on now. And I absolutely love the daily life I lead, which is a very selfish way to look at it. But I think it's really important for people to find their purpose for this reason, because they like what they do, they don't burn out as quickly, and they're able to continue to give back more. So
Yeah.
I love the international community, movement creation, getting to meet a ton of cool people around the world, working with people I have fun working with, and working together on a cause I really care about. So I think that I would never have been able to predict this without accidentally starting Dweebs Global along with my co-founders, Nathan and Jenny. I think that that was a very accidental but good thing. And I think that's been a lot of my life, is like accidentally falling into the next thing and the next thing. So.
That's the great thing when you have your path and you're going in the right direction, then you like draw things to you that are meant to be your way, and it's more and more, so everything like falls into place.
Yeah, I hope so anyway. It certainly has seemed like that so far.
I can imagine your parents are very proud of you as well, since they've like supported you right from the beginning.
Yeah, I was actually homeschooled. So until I went to college, I was homeschooled because I was younger than a lot of other kids were at school. I think my parents made the correct decision that that age gap was too much at that point, so I could have both a social circle of kids my age and study what I wanted to study, which I'm very grateful for. I also do not think I would have liked or survived in American school. I am somebody who wants to focus on something all day. I would not have really liked time blocks. When I was young, I did not want to be forced to socialize. I did not really make friends until I was 17. And I think that was sort of really what I wanted to do in life. I wasn't kind of the friendliest kid. I'm glad I got to kind of explore that because it like let me grow into myself when I was ready, and it made me have I have a very strong, large social circle now, and I feel like I wouldn't have that without having had the space to decide what I wanted in friendship and in life. So yeah.
I've recently, sorry, yeah.
Yeah, no, sorry, go ahead.
I recently read one of your posts or articles where you were telling about your friends, how different they are, like from all walks of life, with very, very diverse backgrounds. That's also very exciting and enriching.
Yeah, no, definitely. One of the other things I'm super grateful for my parents for is they traveled a lot and they took us with them. And partly because my sister and I, Jenny and I, were homeschooled, we were able to do that. And I will say the downside of having friends everywhere is you always leave little pieces of your heart everywhere, right? Like I can never be with all my friends. And everybody lives so many different places. Even when I got married, actually, I had to separate wedding ceremonies and people sort of came to one or the other. Like even then, everybody wasn't together. So but I think it's so important to know people and know people well who come from different backgrounds. I think race and culture is obvious, but even income brackets and gender, sexualities, experiences, opinions, because it's just a good way to genuinely care about and keep a pulse on what's happening around the world. I've learned so much by knowing and having friends who live in countries that are not getting enough airtime or news coverage internationally. It's a lot of what actually spurred the creation of the DG Sentinel, because we wanted to cover those stories. But a lot of things I hadn't known, even as a relatively well-read, consistently reading the news, politically aware person, had no idea what was going on in Nigeria or in Myanmar, even to an extent locally in India. And I'm Indian. So I think that having friends in a bunch of places now, you suddenly know about it because it's impacting their lives, and you also care about it. It's not a statistic, it's somebody you care about. You want to make sure things are good for everyone. So I think it's really important, highly advocated. But I've been astonished lately to see all these statistics that most people do not have diverse friend groups. So I was surprised to hear that. Actually, I didn't realize it was unusual, and then once I learned it was unusual, it's now been one of my things where I'm like, no, everybody should do this.
Definitely, because it gives you so many different perspectives. You leave your bubble, and it's very enriching. Just like speaking different languages, you speak 6, I believe, and that's so you have like 6 different identities. You're 6 persons.
Yeah. You know what I find actually really interesting is I don't have a static English accent. And I find that more interesting than the languages I speak at this point. I don't know why, I just find it an interesting thing, accents. But since I grew up with immigrant parents, and I grew up in a household speaking very Indian English, and I grew up learning sort of British English, and then I lived in America. And so I obviously picked up American English from other people. And then I've spent a lot of time in Europe and other places around the world. I feel like I do this thing where my accent adapts depending on where I am in the world. So we talked about personalities, it occurred to me, because I almost feel like the phrases I use and the sayings I say and how I behave and act are different depending on where I am, because I slowly pick up like gestures or phrases, and the way people interact is very different, even if you're speaking the same language. So
yes, totally. Yeah, true. Awesome. Looking into the future, are there any projects that you are working on, or ideas, or maybe a dream that you would love to realize one day?
Yeah, I think right now I'm very, very passionate about the work we're doing at the Sentinel, and I'm really hoping that it grows and that it's able to help impact the entire world. So, Megan, our amazing chief operating officer, and I have sort of started this from the beginning. We really want to reach the point where the work that we're doing impacts the way that society is shifting, because we're at this point where there's a huge societal shift happening, and there's a lot of reliance on notoriety, fame, money. Sort of fame is the new money. Content creators are the new like rich people. Everything is money, likes. I read this really interesting thing the other day where if you earned and saved like $10,000 a day from XYZ BC, you would still not have as much money as Elon Musk, right? So there's this huge divide and power imbalance. And a lot of people are also at the same time losing any sort of meaningful community. So what I really hope is that our work at the DJ Sentinels media platform, community media platform, social platform we're creating can start fighting these fundamentally toxic societal trends. And we're not doing it through advocacy or through yelling at people or through trying to force people to change, but really by inspiring a stronger form of community and a better form of long-term community. And I really hope that it can convince people that a better measure of success is the amount of good that you do in the world and the amount of impact you have, and not how much fame and money you have. And it actually is a better measure of success in terms of making you happy, making the people in your family feel like they are happy and proud of you. I actually think it's a measure of success humans care the most about. It's just not one we're rewarding in society today. So we've literally created notification addiction with the fame thing, with money. There's all this pressure to buy new things. There's consumer culture. We've literally tied up these little, bursts of happiness and energy and hormones to these really toxic behaviors. And so we're hoping to create that society shift in the long term. So like one of my big dreams would be for that to be how everyone gets to live their lives, and for us to really shift society into being a more empathetic, community focused, generally happier space. I think religion definitely has its ills, and I have definitely struggled through a lot of that myself in my life. But one of the downsides of religion weakening and the church weakening, just in general, religion across the globe weakening, is that people don't have a third community space anymore, and people are very, very lonely. And so I think that we do need hopefully alternatives to that, and healthier alternatives to that, but we do need a community space. And then post-pandemic, with office gone, right, we're down to a lot of people being at home all the time and not having a ton of outlets. So that's another thing that there is it's like a good time to build new communities, and I just want them to be healthier than the ones we've built in the past. So
sounds great. Great project and ambitious.
Yeah, definitely very ambitious. That's the dream goal. But at least if we work towards there and inspire other people to do the same thing, I think one of the nicest things about working at a nonprofit is we don't really have competition, right? We want other people to do what we're doing and take the idea and run with it. It'll make the world a better place. So
you reach a few people, they reach a few, and it's like a domino effect.
Yeah,
it has an impact. Great. What would you say? What is your secret to success?
I thought about this because I knew you were going to ask it, and I feel like I say something different every time I have an interview, which is a really good way of saying that I think there's a lot of different secrets, and it really depends on who you are and at what stage of life you're in. The newest thing that has been a huge help to me in keeping everything going has been these like daily planners. So it's a very specific tip this time, but I actually plan out what I want to do every day the night before. And I have different like pen colors for things I want to do in my house or with my hobbies as opposed to my work, things I need to do for my health, for my dog. So I found that really helps keep me on track the next day. I have time to think in the evening about what I want to accomplish, what is essential, what isn't essential. I leave extra lines if I have to add things, but I try not to. So yeah, that's been a really, really helpful, practical thing I've done lately.
Yeah, great. Yeah, that's really very practical advice. Cool. And if you have the chance to talk to your younger self, what would you tell her?
Yeah, it's a really good question. I get really into these hypotheticals, and I am a pedant. So I always think I don't want to say anything that would change the trajectory I ended up on. But if I could say something and I would still end up here, but it would ease some of, I guess, my pain and my trauma and some of the things that I went through. it's super cliched, but the whole "it gets better" thing, right? Like, you will reach a point in life when you are happy and are glad that you survived. So I had a lot of mental health struggles. I was suicidal for a while, and I am very lucky that I made it through, but it wasn't something that I could have counted on. And I think that if I could go back and it wouldn't change where I am and all of that, I would definitely want to know that I made it through and I was happy. A lot of that came from the fact I couldn't imagine a world in which I was. So yeah.
Great, thank you for that advice. And from your huge network, all these inspiring women, which one would you love to see in female success stories one day?
Yeah, it's such a good question. So I actually talked to 2 people this week that I think would be really perfect for your show. So they're coming to my mind right now, although there are so many other people. Like, this by no means mean other people. Or 3 people, actually. So one is actually my the COO I work with. We launched the Sentinel together, Megan. She's just absolutely inspiring. She's super, super cool, has worked with like so many different nonprofits in the past. She's from the UK. She lives in Australia now. So she's just done incredible work in 2 continents, and just joy to talk to and get to know with. She's one of the few people where I'm always like, yes, I'm happy to meet anytime, because I'm excited to just chat about nothing and everything. So she's great. I also would have Lisa Hurley on. She's one of my favorite content creators, activists on LinkedIn. She has her own podcast. She's just a joy to talk to, super fun, high energy, just really great. She's done a lot of work in sort of racial awareness, racial justice, Black women, things like that. Just really great. And then I was actually just talking to Rinu Odwala the other day. So she's a Nigerian activist, and she's awesome. We've worked with her before at Dweebs Global a while ago, and I just got back in touch. So she just crossed my mind as well. She's super great. She's worked a lot on free and fair elections in Nigeria. She is a featured activist internationally, just really, really great, bringing a huge spotlight on Nigeria, which is one of the most populated countries in the world. Very fascinating place. There's almost no international coverage. So yeah. Say those.
Sounds great, really inspiring. I will reach out to them.
Yeah. Let me know if you want me to put you in contact. Happy to.
Yeah, great. I'd be happy to. Great. Isvari, thank you so much for joining my video cast. Before we end, is there anything else you would like to tell, highlight, promote?
Yeah, every time people ask me this, I talk about my dog, so I'm gonna stick to my usual. I have a miniature dachshund. He is adorable. He is my life. He's everything. He's great. He's awesome. I would not be alive today if it weren't for him. He's perfect ball of amazing happiness and love, and he's great. Yeah. So I have a dog. His name's Rishi. He's adorable. That's
I'm a dog person. I feel you. I love dogs. They are so amazing. Calm you down and you have fun with them. And they are great for networking as well. You get to meet
this is true. This is true. My friend was just asking me what my best tip is for picking up women, and I'm like, have a dog. I mean, they're not going to focus on you, but I have never walked anywhere in my life and seen a dog and not gone, hi dog, I need to pet dog.
Yeah.
Do you have a dog?
I don't have a dog right now. I have 2 kids. They're enough for now. But when I grew up, I had a dog, and it was amazing. I loved it.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. Yeah, no, I hear you. That's amazing that you have 2 kids and you're still doing this and everything else. That's a lot. I definitely
maybe later on.
There you go. Yes. When the kids are older and can take care of the dog.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, we got my dog when I was 15 and my sister was 12 or 13 at the time. And it definitely been our dog. So sometimes when kids say they'll take care of the dog, they mean it. So
yeah, we'll see. Maybe we start with I don't know, a small pet first.
There you go. Although I will say that we had fish for a really long time. We could not keep them alive, and I never took care of them, and I just couldn't do it. Or like I always said I wanted a dog, but my parents tried like fish and whatever else, plants. But it was totally different when we had a dog. Like Jenny and I've always really taken care of Rishi. And actually, really interestingly, when we went to college, when I went to grad school, we always took the dog with us. We found ways to keep the dog with us, to alternate turns if we were in different places, so we both could have him.
Yeah, that's so cool. I also love there are more and more offices here where dogs are allowed. Like my
That's
mom,
awesome.
she takes her dog to work, and it's so great. There is always someone who walks her, and if people are stressed, they cuddle with her, and she has the best time.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, I
Yeah.
really love that. It's a big thing in the Valley in California where I grew up. Where I am right now. It's less of a thing on the East Coast where I worked for a while, went to law school, and all lived for 7 years. But yeah, no, I totally agree. It's great. And actually it's one of the best things I like about working from home now is people can stay and have more of a day with their animals and commute, which is such a thing in America. Oh my God, it's nice not to have that too.
Yes, true. Yeah, yeah. Isvari, it was such a pleasure to talk to you and hear more about your passion, your story. You are really great.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me, Anita. I really appreciate it. Love your work and show, and let me know if I can ever help with anything. It's been so great chatting.
Thank you. Thank you. And to you guys out there, thank you so much for your time, for listening. If you're looking for more inspiration, check out Isvari's website, her LinkedIn profile, articles on Medium. She's really present, and it's so, yeah, really inspiring and empowering.
Oh, thank
Take
you.
care and see you next time.
Thank you
Bye.
for listening.